were exhibited under Artistic Fusion from Pakistan. The same year he returned back and presented 11 of his signed canvas print to Mr. Ambassador Tomiko, Kishore Nebubani of LKY, Mr. Tony Tan of ISAS, to Singapore Art Museum, to Art House, and there were nearly 11 prints which he presented promoting Pakistan art, promoting Pakistan architecture. Mr. Jimmy is here, and I would like to invite him to speak more about his biography, In Search of My Master, for which we are here. Please, Mr. Jimmy Engineer.
Our Ambassador Syed Hassan Javed, Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon or late afternoon. The book is called In Search of My Master. The publisher who worked on it for 2 years asked me at the end that what should be the name of the book. So I told him it should be In Search of My Master, because all my life I have been in search of my master. Why my master? Because I consider myself a pupil of nature, and nature is perfect and I am imperfect. So I will always remain a pupil, because I will keep learning all my life and try to improve myself. Though all my life I tried to achieve level of excellence, but still I will fall short of my master. It took 2 years for my publisher to print this book, and the person who wrote, her name is Marjorie Hussain. She's a Britisher married to a Muslim, and the editor was S.M. Shahid, Mr. S.M. Shahid. And the publisher's name is Mr. Parvez Iqbal. He is from BBCL. Samina introduced me as the roaming ambassador. Let me correct, and I call myself the servant of Pakistan. I am only a servant of Pakistan because I serve my country wherever I travel. I take great pride in calling myself a Pakistani, whether I am in USA or Europe or London or anywhere. Because a positive picture of Pakistan is very rarely portrayed in the international media. The only thing that is portrayed is the war on terror and all the negativity. But I can tell you there are 98% positive things happening in Pakistan. Our culture, our rich heritage, our poets, our writers, our doctors, our engineers are the best. Even if you travel all over Europe or USA or London, the best doctors are some of the Pakistani doctors in all these countries. The best engineers, the best scientists, they are working for different countries. So I think there is a lot of positivity in Pakistan. About the art, I was very young when I started working on large piece of paper and using powder color, and then using water, and with my fingers I used to make some designs, abstract designs. And from there my imagination grew. But all my life I wanted to promote my country, Pakistan. I have hardly ever exhibited at commercial galleries. All my life I've traveled and exhibited at different public places to promote my country, talk about my country. The subjects that I've painted are ranging from history, philosophy, abstract, architectural, compositions, seascapes, landscapes, still lifes, all sorts of paintings, calligraphy. Done over 2,000 paintings and over 1,000 calligraphy. And over 250,000 prints of my work are in private collection all over the world. And I've donated many of my prints. But with my art, most of the time I do philanthropy. All my life I have donated 70% of whatever I've earned, I've given away for charity. But I'm not an NGO. As a Pakistani, I do philanthropy. I don't raise money from people or organizations. I raise money from my art and from other activities, and then donate for good causes. In 1989, I was selected at the Modern Museum, New York. It was the first time that a Pakistani was selected, and then I received the National Endowment of the Arts Award in '89 in USA. It's the highest award which an outside artist can get from USA. But my passion is not only painting, because living in a country which has problems, there's poverty, there are people who are suffering. So I work with special children, with orphans, with widows, with prisoners, with patients I don't even know. I just go to hospitals and see some patients. I give them medicines, I help them. And that is where my satisfaction comes from. I've worked in jails, tried to improve the living condition of juvenile, the youthful offenders. I wanted to change the lives of special children. So I started a program, Fun and Food for Special Children in Pakistan. And the last 11 years, I've done 140 programs for the special children to create awareness. There was a time when parents were embarrassed with their special children. They would not take them out of the house. So I started a program where I used to take 100 children, 200 children, 500 children, till 5,000 children to public parks, places, and arrange their programs. My first program, I took 200 blind children to a restaurant. And this is the first time when I took 200 children to the blind restaurant. The restaurant waiters and all were most fascinated. They never seen 200 blind children in a restaurant. And they told me after serving those blind children, their lives changed. They thought differently. And I was also encouraged by the fact that people are trying to understand now. So I did more and more programs for special children. And now people understand. People call me and say, please take my daughter or my son to the program. They are not ashamed now. They feel proud that they have special children. Because I keep telling them that just calling them special means nothing. If you don't give them special love, special facility, and if you don't arrange anything special for them, then why call them special? So I always tell the people that make them part of your thinking, part of your society, part of your day-to-day living. Then their lives will change. Then I started the walk culture in Pakistan. I've done hundreds of walks for causes and gave walk a better meaning for causes. I've done walks for cancer, for leprosy, for education, for law and order, for so many causes. But two of my walks are very important. One walk, I walked for 1 year through whole of Pakistan. But I didn't go straight. If you go straight, it is like 1800 or 1900 kilometers. I went through every village, every town, every city and walked for 4,700 kilometers. Because I wanted to see how the people suffer. And I wanted to be part of their suffering. And I wanted to walk and go to the sufferer. Because I believe that if you want to help the sufferer, then go to him. Don't let the sufferer come to you. If you want to alleviate his suffering. So I walked and saw all the people suffering, and then I gave suggestion to my very wealthy friend how they can help them. And then so many schools and hospitals and other facilities were made in all those areas. So that was one walk. And the other walk was when I did a peace walk between India and Pakistan in 2001, when things were very bad. I was carrying the Indian and the Pakistan flag on my chest. And people in my country said, how can you do that? How can you walk with Indian flag in your country? I said, I am doing it for the sake of peace. So I am going to put the flag on my chest, side by side India and Pakistan flag. And then I walked from Islamabad and I walked to the Indian borders with that flag. And then at the borders, there were a lot of international media. And I told them, I said, we all wish that our neighborhood is not going to change. So we must become friends and we must help each other and we must become friendly in the real sense. So I played my part to wake up the people to that issue. That peace will come when it comes from the heart and the mind. And when people are sincere from the heart and the mind, then peace will come between the two countries. I have done philosophical work also. Our national poet, Allama Iqbal, his famous poetry, Javed Nama, and he wrote in his letters that he wanted some artist to paint this philosophy of Javed Nama. So nobody did in his lifetime, but I completed the work in '82. It took me 1 year to complete the work. And it fulfilled his dream, but much after his death. It was a very difficult philosophy. And I can just tell you one instant in that painting. I was painting a scene where Jamaluddin Afghani is pointing towards the earth. So Allama Iqbal is asking Jamaluddin Afghani that what are you pointing at? He says that Russia will break up. Now our poet visualized this in 1930s and I painted it in 1982 when Russia was won. So when I painted that whole scene, some Russian ambassador was visiting at that time and he came and he asked, what is this? I said, this is the breaking up of Russia. So he laughed at me and he smiled. He said, Russia is won. But after some years, he told me, when he was not an ambassador, he said, you were right, what you painted. Russia has broken up now into many different countries. So this was the power of our poet who visualized so many changes in the world. Like he visualized in 1930 that people will go to Mars, and there's a scientist on Mars, he's asking the poet, how come you have come here? And he's saying that we have progressed a lot, so that's why we have reached Mars. So there are a lot of things in the philosophical work that one can understand happening now. So I come to Singapore quite often nowadays because I think it's a beautiful place where they celebrate all the religious festivity. I don't know of any other country which actually celebrates all the religious festivities of all the religious sects and different people. And people are living harmoniously in Singapore. So I think it's an enlightened minds which think like that. And we need enlightened minds to bring peace in this world. I would say that the more people are spiritually enlightened, they can bring more peace in this world than religion. I want to thank all of you here for coming. And I have shared in brief my life. Otherwise, this journey is about 40 years long. And it's a very lengthy journey. But I briefly wanted to explain to you about my life. And I'm very grateful to our ambassador for hosting this function at its residence. I'm grateful to you. And I'm grateful to the ambassador of Turkey who's come here. And all the people, friends and well-wishers who have come here. That my purpose to come to Singapore is to show the positive side of Pakistan. That we are a positive country. If the world shows our negativity, it does not matter. We think positively. Thank you so much.
I request the Ambassador, His Excellency, Ambassador of Turkey, to please come and say a few words.
Excellency, Mr. Jimmy Engineer, thank you very much for inviting me to this very nice organization. After being present in this meeting, I wish I would also have the chance to host a Turkish artist in Singapore, presenting his achievements to our dear friends, both from embassies and also Singapore population. So it's a very sacred work, so I really congratulate you, Mr. Ambassador. You have expressed your life, how you contributed to serving your country. This is a very sacred, very important, very positive work. I really congratulate you. I extend my appreciations. Pakistan is, as you have rightly pointed out, sometimes in the Western media, some countries are always, how do you say, are on the agenda with their minor negative parts. Every country has some minor things. Every country has negative situations, because every country is evolving. We are all evolving. Pakistan is a lovely country, full of peaceful. The whole population is peaceful. The region is peaceful, but for certain reasons there are some conflicts around. And I believe the international media should focus on the positive parts rather than some small conflicts which could easily be, how do you say, enlarged as if it is a big issue. But there had been a saying in political science, just throw a negative word towards a country and let them try to clean it. But we also as you know, all of you know, we have also suffered from these negative, let me say, propaganda. But Pakistan and Turkey is always hand to hand. But besides the original people of our countries, the Turkish people, the Pakistani people, the artsmen, the poets, engineers, doctors, physicians, we are the ones who will show the original face of our countries, and you are one of those. And thank you very much for inviting me, and Ambassador as well. Thank you.
I will request Mrs. Balaji to please come and say a few words.
I wasn't expecting to be saying a few words, but I would like to thank Ambassador for very kindly inviting me. I was very surprised to receive the invitation because I guess, you know, before my husband's passing, I would sign, you know, wouldn't be surprised, but now I'm really very honored and very pleased that you still remember me, and I meet a lot of new people today who do remember me from the book launch of the book that my husband wrote, The Dancing Girl. And when I saw images of Mohenjo-daro, I'm reminded of the dancing girl, which was found at Mohenjo-daro. And it was my husband's dream, you know, after his retirement, to in fact visit various parts of India and Pakistan to look at the sites that he had written about. So it really makes me, you know, think of the beauty and the amount of history that Pakistan has. In fact, my first visit to Pakistan was in 1997 to Islamabad and Taxila. And we went again in 1999 to Lahore. And I find it an amazing place. It is so full of, you know, beautiful buildings. It's so interesting. And what is most amazing is that I feel the warmth and the hospitality of the people. Although the former Pakistan's High Commissioner, Mr. Sajjad Ashraf, is no longer working in this position, he is still in contact with me and my children. And now, today when I first entered the room, Ambassador came up to me and he spoke to me in Mandarin, and I was very much taken by surprise, and it made me feel so welcome, and you know, so I really appreciate being invited. And as for Mr. Jimmy Engineer, I really admire your work. I Googled and went through all your paintings, and when I received the invitation, I thought, yes, I would really want to be here to meet Mr. Jimmy Engineer. So thank you very much.
I will request the High Commissioner for Pakistan to please come and do the closing remarks.
Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Jimmy Engineer, Ambassador Tanner, Brother Tanner of Turkey, Mrs. Balaji, Mr. Juma Boy, and all distinguished guests. First of all, I thank all of you to be able to come and spend your afternoon here. There are competing demands. Everyone is busy here. That's what life is all, you know. The lovely thing about Singapore, everybody is busy. And so I have just few remarks for this occasion. As Mr. Jimmy Engineer had already said, Pakistan's multicultural heritage as the birthplace and centers of world's greatest religions cultures and civilizations is a global inspiration. In this respect, we call ourselves as the birthplace of two great religions, Hinduism and Sikhism. We call ourselves importers of two religion, exporters of two religion, Buddhism and Zoroastrianism. And we also call ourselves importer of two religions, Islam and Christianity. So we seem to be, you can describe it in so many ways. Ours is a multicultural civilization, a melting pot civilization. You know, the Pakistan is where Euro-Asiatic civilization have converged, they have melted, they have produced a very fabulous synthesis that we call modern day Pakistan. This synthesis brings the best of Indus Valley civilization, Egyptian, Mesopotamia, Chinese, Greek, Arab, Persian, Turkish, Mughal, and the Anglo-Americans also, to produce the most brilliant and resilient human society on the earth. I've read quite a few scholars and I have found Pakistan's social capital and soft power being spoken in very high terms. And those scholars include Dr. Henry Kissinger, Zbigniew Brzezinski, Anatole Levin, Joseph S. Nye Jr. I am an avid reader, and the first book I read in Great Singapore is The Dancing Girl of Miss Balaji, written by Miss Balaji. And after that I have read another dozen books, including Hard Truths and so many others. So Pakistan is one country which the story has to be told. I'm happy that first time in my life actually I have been told the story of Pakistan by myself, hearing from what I heard from Mr. Jimmy Engineer. He has done a job which is much more superb than any ambassador can do. You know, Jimmy, I would like to speak about him a little bit. You see, ever since I have grown up, Jimmy represents Pakistan. He was born in Balochistan, which is the most backward province of Pakistan. Jimmy was educated in Lahore, which is again the cultural capital of Pakistan, and Jimmy spends his lifetime in Karachi. That is where I actually myself grew up also. And when I was growing in those days, we used to hear of one person who is continuously walking. And we were told, Jimmy is walking. So we said again, this man keeps walking. And then I didn't know about Jimmy, but all about him I knew was that he was walking. Then one of my friends would say, wait, does he sleep also? Or does he sleepwalk? Well, 1/3 of Americans do that. But sleepwalking is not something that Jimmy is known for. He walks for causes, and he has been walking for causes. Ever since then, I tell you, we used to always mention him in our college days, in our university days, and every now and then we see Jimmy walking. Another thing that Jimmy is, that not only he belongs to the most backward province of Pakistan, he was born there, he belongs to the smallest religious minority in Pakistan, which has just have 1,500 families. And that is the Zoroastrians, the Parsis in Pakistan. And these 1,500 jewels, I call them jewels. In fact, I can call them pearls also. These 1,500 families, they have done so much for Pakistan. It's incredible. I'm myself a product of that sort of a teaching done by one of my professors, was a lady, by Zoroastrian lady, Zamzam Khan. My ambassador, whom actually impressed me most, inspired me most, was Jamshed Mahatat, another Zoroastrian. The institutions education that I have done in Karachi, my relatives have done, are all been established by Zoroastrians. The NAD University, you name it, there are on and on. Whole Karachi finds Zoroastrian educational institutions and also health and medical institutions. So he brings to us a perspective which is very important, to see that this perspective is is a very rare perspective that he brings from as coming from a underdeveloped province of Pakistan, and also from the smallest minority community. They are a part of us, but it is that he speaks for Pakistan. He was not born in 1947, but if you look at his book, it is impossible to believe that this man has not seen those paintings that he has done. It's incredible paintings. Some of his paintings have been the most, everywhere that he has done the exhibition, his paintings have been received so well. And his paintings are so original. So then one thing that I see in Mr. Jimmy Engineer, the humility that he has. He calls himself a servant of Pakistan, and he makes it always a point to correct anybody who calls him anything otherwise. So in every meeting, in every lecture, I have seen him, and even in his talk, when he talks, he says, please call me a servant. That's the humility and philanthropy. He last time they gave a very good lecture. I wish those of you who were there in ISIS will bear me out. It was one of the most inspiring speech that anybody could have, heard. And I heard that speech, and he says why he paints, what he has painted in his book. And he has talked about his inspiration from his master, or he is still searching his master. Then you see in ISIS, and that speech was, I hope you can find a copy of that speech, or then we can probably distribute it. These are people who are born as the greatest poet of Pakistan used to say, हजारों साल नरगिस अपनी बेनूरी पर रोती है, बड़ी मुश्किल से होता है चमन में दीदावत पैदा. Such people are born very rare. The sort of spirit that Jimmy signifies, the sort of inspiration that he gives. These type of people, at least in my 50 years of what I have heard about Jimmy, I haven't seen such people in the contemporary era. Such people who really live their life for others. He mentioned to you about special children. I have seen what he does. He has said certainly very less than what he has done in our country. Everybody recognizes him. He is a social crusader. He is a humanist. He is one of the greatest humanist personalities. We are proud to have him as our citizen. If we have such people, I think Pakistan certainly has a better future. It gives me hope. Look at the book that he has done. Such book I haven't seen. I have visited 60 countries in the world, but I haven't seen a paintings book of that caliber. Maybe I have yet to see a lot. So I just wanted to that his book and he himself could help you to discover real Pakistan. Multiculturalism is in our DNA. Pakistan is a melting pot of cultures. For us, multiculturalism is not a policy or anything it is in our DNA. Ask a Pakistani and it will be very difficult for him to identify with one culture, because we belong to a hybrid culture. And we very much feel that our hybrid culture has made us stronger. Once I was in the United States, and one of the professors told me it is very difficult to put Pakistan in one region. So I said, what is the dilemma that you confront? He says, you people reflect so many attributes. At one time we put you in South Asia, you work out very well with that. You are with Central Asian characteristics, very well. West Asian characteristics, Turkish characteristics. So Pakistan has all of these characteristics.